got some crazy stuff coming from Blizzard, guys. Listen to this. In a recent Blizzard developer update, we learned that Blizzard is going to implement hashtag some changes to Wrath of the Lich King Classic, and that these changes will be based on 3 design pillars. Now, guys, I read through them. I thought they were super boring, but it actually really revealed to me Blizzard's logic and design intentions. Now, the first pillar is nurture and protect social experiences. Blizzard is aiming to provide something that they're calling social proximity. They want players to have multiple interactions with the same people over time in a happy way. Where I come from, we call this a guild. If you want to join one, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. In Blizzard's eyes, removing random dungeon finder is going to support this pillar, nurturing and protecting social experiences, having those happy experiences. All right, moving on to design pillar number 2. We have approachable and familiar, so that we feel like we're coming home to a place that we know well. Now, guys, honestly, I remember when Classic WoW was first announced again, man. It really felt like coming home. I can't even really put it into words. Just, I opened up my class talent tree, seeing those same familiar talents, I can't wait to unlock them. And just, when I level, it really did feel like I was coming home. And Blizzard even says that this pillar is all about not changing the game too much. So Blizzard, honestly, from the deepest part of my heart, I hope you understand that with every change you make, you are in fact destroying a little piece of a world that so many of us do consider home and hold fond memories of. And if we come back to our home and it's too different, it's going to really hurt. But at the same time, the approachable part of this pillar, I think, is actually the big culprit behind a lot of the changes Blizzard has been making. They want the game to be appealing to as many people as possible. And I think that is why we have things like the level boost. It's so that people who don't want to level don't have to level. They can just jump right in to where they want to play the game. Maybe it's so that they can get the most subscribers as possible, make the most money as possible. I don't know. Or maybe they just want the game to be as popular as possible. I'm not sure. But I think approachable is the biggest design pillar for why WoW has become, the way it has. All right, just keeping that in mind. Those are sort of my thoughts on the approachable and familiar pillar. Now, the final pillar Blizzard announced is that the world is the main character, feeling immersed in the game. This one I had to read like 15 times to understand, but I think is definitely an important one. I think that they want you to feel immersed in the game. And in my opinion, I think class fantasy helps with this a lot. You pick a class that you really think is cool. And honestly, like, you can get behind the fantasy. It's fun, right? But I think one thing that completely destroys immersion for me, and I think many others would agree with me, is that seeing that damned Boosty Boy outfit. You know what I'm talking about? Where if they're a caster, it's that bold blue colored outfit top to bottom. Or if they're a plate wearer, it's that full white plate set for a warrior or paladin. It just screams out to me that someone bought that character with real money and poof, immersion gone. That's just me, though. I don't know if you feel that way or what, but I just feel they should really remove the ability to buy a near max level character, even if it does take away from the approachability column, because that really takes away from the immersion column, in my opinion, if you're just going to have boosty boys running around, in my own opinion. That's just my opinion. So with these design pillars in mind, Blizzard has announced some big changes coming to Wrath of the Lich King Classic. Number 1, Emblems of Valor are going to drop from all raids during Wrath of the Lich King Classic. If you recall, itemization and raid lockouts for Wrath of the Lich King changed multiple times during the expansion. For Classic Wrath, Blizzard wants to make it more consistent throughout, which means that emblems will now drop and work the same way each phase, and set pieces will be acquired the same way each phase, and finally, raid lockouts will function the same way every single tier. This means that both 10-man and 25-man raids will drop Emblems of Valor at launch, and dungeons will drop Emblems of Heroism, now matching how emblems were designed back when Wrath of the Lich King content patch was at Trial of the Crusader in Icecrown Citadel. In other news, Noxramas will receive buffs. Naxxramas was the first raid in Wrath of the Lich King Classic, awarding players with tier 7 gear. Now, historically, this raid has been very easy. Some compare it to the Molten Core of Wrath, and some players even say it is dead boring easy. Blizzard has responded to this by increasing the health and damage of monsters in Naxxramas. Because of the difficulty of vanilla Naxxramas of 2006, Activision now wants to increase the difficulty, which they believe will make it more fun and interesting while players excitingly await the opening of Ulduar. In 2006, not a lot of players played Naxxramas, which is why it was so toned down for Wrath of the Lich King. Basically, Blizzard is saying they overdid it and made it too easy, so they're trying to make it a little bit more harder. We also learned about a new group finder tool that Blizzard has been designing. One cool thing I actually do admit I like about it is that when you're selecting your role, whether you want to be a healer or a tank or a DPS or, you know, whatever, you can choose any role, right? Like if you want to be a tank, but your class is a shaman, you can still select the tank role. This was not the case in Wrath of the Lich King Classic Random Dungeon Finder. And the reason I actually like this is because it encourages creativity. You know, if you can come up with a set of gear and a spec for your shaman to be a viable tank, or if you're a demonology warlock and you're itemized for tanking, you go metamorphosis, dude, you're a pretty dang good tank. You got taunt, you got AoEs, like you can select the role of tank as a warlock in this new group finder tool. So I actually think this is a step in the right direction, and honestly, like very, very cool. Whether or not it's viable throughout the expansion, it's going to depend on the individual player, but I think this is actually kind of a cool change. Another big change that you need to be aware of with this tool release is that Blizzard is aiming for this group finder UI to be a one-stop shop for all group finding needs. With that change, it means that Blizzard is going to be enforcing a rule that sending messages in the looking for group chat channel will require being listed in their new group finder UI. This effectively removes the need for the incentive, which if you saw my previous video, this was the missing piece, right? Like nobody uses really group finder in TBC, right? Well, now you're gonna have to use this new tool, right? The new dynamic is use our new tool or else you can't use the looking for group channel. So it's kind of a different dynamic. Blizzard's like, use it or else, but whatever. Good move, Blizzard. We'll ultimately just have to wait and see how it plays out because, we don't know yet. Yet another massive update from Blizzard coming out is Joyous Journeys. All forms of experience gains will be increased by 50% beginning a few weeks before Wrath of the Lich King pre-patch and will last throughout all of pre-patch until Wrath of the Lich King releases. This is good or bad depending on if you like leveling. Certainly all Death Knights will be able to level faster, and anyone leveling an alt or new main for the expansion will have a chance to get to max level before the release. Definitely going right along with that Blizzard design pillar of approachable, making it so everyone can come along for the journey. So keep an eye out for Joyous Journeys. That means Wrath of Pre-patch will be coming soon when that is released. And perhaps the biggest news of all, Blizzard is going to be implementing some of the changes that they added to Season of Mastery over to Burning Crusade Classic and later Wrath of the Lich King Classic in the future. These massive changes are targeting buying dungeon boosts, making it near impossible to snare mobs en masse, and also implementing a harsh XP reduction when there is a large difference in levels between players in the same group. If you know how the dynamic works, it's basically the booster goes, and gets some people to buy the boost, then that booster then sells the gold, those players then buy the gold back, buy more boosts, whatever. It's basically the cycle repeats itself. So these boosters are making a ton of gold, by the way. It's really expensive to buy boosts. If you're going to just buy them repeatedly, they're making a ton of gold, and then they sell the gold to players who then buy it, whether for more boosts or GDKP or whatever it might happen to be. So that's it for this news roundup. I think Blizzard's actually making some good changes there. I thought the Season of Mastery boosting change was good. XP change is good. There's pretty good stuff coming. If you like the video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. My name is Toyhouze. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.